John, the U.S. military, meanwhile, slowly beefing up its presence in the Caribbean with around 10,000 Marines and sailors and a dozen Navy warships now maneuvering off Puerto Rico's coast. Our chief national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin was reporting live on this out of Washington for us. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Sandra. Well, the Pentagon is reallocating assets from the Middle East and the Pacific, moving warships to the Caribbean for the past 8 weeks in what looks like a major military buildup for what many fear is an undeclared war. 14% of the Navy's fleet is now in the Caribbean, according to IEJ Media, including a buildup of 10,000 Marines and sailors, a dozen warships, a U.S. Navy nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine, a special operations mothership with drone capabilities, and 3 guided missile destroyers, USS Stockdale, Gravely, and Jason Dunham, and the USS Iwo Jima, an assault ship with an amphibious ready group on board. The USS Lake Erie, a guided missile cruiser with 32 Tomahawk missiles, was pulled from the Pacific and is now operating near Puerto Rico, but focused on Venezuela, where the U.S. Air Force carried out a recent show of force with 3 B-52s being escorted by stealth F-35s like the ones used over Iran. A squadron of F-35s were deployed to Puerto Rico on September 13th. Live fire and flight operations across the Caribbean has made this look far bigger than a counter-narcotics push, yet not big enough for an invasion. Venezuelan jets have even buzzed U.S. warships. Officially, the Trump administration calls the buildup a counter-narcotics operation. It's a strategic pivot, an effort to deter drug traffickers while stretching America's reach elsewhere. 7 U.S. airstrikes have targeted small boats the Pentagon has said were carrying narcotics, killing at least 27 people whose identities have not been released. The president of Colombia, as Jillian mentioned, says the last strike killed several fishermen, not narco-traffickers. The Pentagon has not provided any evidence to support allegations that these are drug boats or that they were heading to the U.S. Admiral Alvin Halsey, the head of U.S. Southern Command, stepped down suddenly last week after reported concerns from Southcom and others on Capitol Hill that the strikes are not legal. Sandra?
All right, Jennifer Griffin, live in Washington on that for us. Jennifer, thank you. John?
All right, let's bring in Derek Maltz, the former acting DEA administrator and the senior vice president of PennLink. So let's talk first of all about this hearing in the Senate today. Derek, and thank you for being with us. Talking about Hezbollah's links to drug trafficking in Latin America. This is not new. It's been going on since at least the 1990s, but there's an increased focus on the links between Hezbollah and Venezuela. What's that all about?
So, John, thank you for having me. I mean, it's really upsetting because 20 years ago, the DEA had a priority initiative looking at all the movement of Iranian and Hezbollah officials into the Western Hemisphere. We work closely with all the interagency partners. What we discovered is how Venezuela was being used as a command and control hub to move cocaine around the world. In 2007, I met with the commander of U.S. Southern Command, and he gave me a fireball slide. And the fireball slide is something I'll never forget because he said this is what he saw from his view running the U.S. Southern Command as all these radical militants were moving into that region. And Admiral Stavridis was a very, very respected admiral. And anyway, so that was 20 years ago. I've testified in these hearings over and over again from my role at the Special Operations Division talking about Hezbollah's role with Los Zetas cartels. There was one case, John, where we identified and indicted one of the main operatives. He was moving $200 million a month, and basically it was 85,000 kilograms of cocaine of Los Zetas. So there's a convergence of really bad actors in the region. Colombia is sending all the drugs into Venezuela. Venezuela, because it's corrupt at the top, moving drugs around the world into the United States, flooding our country with TDA monsters. So we have a big problem, and thank God this administration is finally dealing with it. Because, John, let me say this. These problems just don't go away because politicians think they're going to go away. The bad guys are getting bigger, stronger, and more dangerous, and this is what President Trump has inherited.
That's an interesting slide that you provided us with there from James Stavridis, who was the head of Southcom back then. A takeoff on Ghostbusters, don't let the streams between narco-terrorism and Islamic radical terrorism cross. But increasingly, it looks like they are. So the president seems to be after Maduro. That would seem to be the bigger picture here with the takeout of all of these drug boats and pressure being put on him and pressure being put on Petro of Colombia right now. The president said the other day in the cabinet room that Maduro is making all kinds of offers to get the United States to take the heat off of him. Here's what the president said in very.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to around with the United States.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like he's going to be effing around with the United States because the president's got his sights on Maduro and I believe regime change. What are you thinking?
100%. And if I was Maduro, I'd be concerned because for the first time in American history, we have kinetic strikes against these boats and semi-submersibles. John, I was in one of those semi-submersibles. They transport ton quantities of drugs around the world, not just into the U.S., but around the world. So I said this earlier, I'll say it again. This president, not only is he helping the Middle East with the peace, he's also helping the world with peace and also security from these dangerous, deadly drugs. We've lost hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million folks over many years in America from these dangerous drugs. So it's about time America's safety and security is a top priority. So I applaud the effort.
All right. It seems like this is just the beginning, too, of something bigger to come. Derek Maltz for us. Derek, as always, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.